Well, he's an old friend and certainly a legend of the game, so it's only fair that I give the one and only Rory Best a bit of a grilling this morning. What do you reckon?
And I'm here to keep the peace, referee in the middle of the two of you today. Rory, of course, you're very welcome to the show. Thanks a million for joining us. Ireland's win over England the weekend. Like, when you watch that now in Twickenham, do you miss it? Do you have the memories bring you back? Is it, you're sorry not to be there?
I think it's a funny one. I think when you get there at the start of the game, and I was pitch side for a bit of it, watching the warm-up and seeing the guys coming out in their tracksuits even before the warm-up, you miss that bit. And then they start the warm-up and you think, not sure. And then the game starts and you see the hits and you go, no, I'm very happy not to be in the middle of that anymore.
Do you think watching it, Roar, because, listen, Ireland could go on and win the Six Nations, potentially, if England do a job on France. Ireland could win the Triple Crown this weekend if they beat Scotland. You were part of that team that won the Grand Slam back in 2018. It was a year and a half out from the World Cup. And we were playing so well at that stage. And then it came to the World Cup when it didn't quite go well. Do you think we're kind of in that same spiral again? Are we peaking a little bit too early, still a year and a half out from the World Cup?
I think you can kind of convince yourself of anything. And for me, with Ireland, with the pool of players we have, we can't start to plan ahead. You know, England, with Eddie Jones, they're trying to convince everyone that they're looking at the World Cup's the big thing and they're experimenting with players. I think because of, I don't think we have this vast number of players that France and England have, so we just need to pick what is roughly our best team, drop a couple of people into it and just try to keep the momentum going. I think from the Six Nations, the difference in the Grand Slam years, when you Grand Slam, you think, you know, we're really on track. Yeah. There's been a few things. I think the game against England, that'll be a good learning for our scrum. Yeah. The game against France was a good learning for our breakdown. So there's loads of learnings in this, and they're still playing well for Ireland. So for me, they just got to get through Saturday, and then it's about a summer tour in New Zealand, and just keep taking each stage of the season as it comes. Yeah.
The Triple Crown, Rory, do you think is that possibility, the lift maybe Ireland needs?
Yeah, I think it'll be. I don't think an Ireland team, and certainly in the time when Tommy or I played, we've ever been able to go onto the Aviva at the end of a game and lift a trophy. We've always sort of seemed to do them away from home. So I think the opportunity to lift a trophy at the Aviva Stadium with a packed Aviva Stadium on Saturday is going to be an enormous carrot for them. So I think that'll be. I fully expect them to do it, and I really hope they play well, because having played against 13 against Italy for most of the game, 14 against England, I think that they haven't seen the best of Ireland the last two games compared to the first two rounds, and I'd love to see a really strong performance to finish, lift the Triple Crown and put themselves in a strong position to win the championship.
It's going to be a brilliant finale to the championship that Super Saturday. 3 matches are going to be excellent. Now, we all know you as Captain Fantastic, how good you were as captain of Ireland, and with the Lions as well. But one thing that most people don't know is that you led the charge off the pitch as well. Yeah. Captain Fantastic, when we were having a bit of a social. And so James Haskell has been a guy who's an English rugby player, played alongside you at the Lions, and he's been telling us about this story about you falling asleep on a night out. What happened? What's your take on this story?
Well, I should all be worried when you start with a compliment, Tommy, that something's coming. James Haskell is an entertainer, and he loves stories to grow legs, and this one has grown more than legs at this stage. It was a bit of, at the end of that tour in 17, you know what it's like when you finish up, you've been in this bubble of intensity for all that time, and everyone gets a little bit of time to relax. And we were in the team room having a few drinks in the afternoon, and sort of there was a bit of a hospital bed in the corner. We'll not even go into how that arrived there.
Okay.
We sort of said, you know what, it'd be fun, you know, we'll pretend to sleep and put Rory on the bed and we'll cover him over and we'll wheel him out. And then when the commuters were coming...
So this part of your plan, was this?
It was part of us all.
What were you like at the time?
I was all right. You know me, Tommy, I'm always all right. And they wheeled this bed out onto... And like, bear in mind, by the time this is about sort of 5:30 in the evening.
Oh, there it is.
Look at that.
And there's
video evidence.
That's one guy that he was coming along on his way home from work. And as he gets past, he'd just jump up and went, like that, and scared him. But what Haskell said, and you can actually see from the picture, ironically, that...
Oh, here we go. Here's the video.
There's no denying it now, Rory.
I don't know if you really knew what's going on there, Rory. It looks like you're in the middle of a public street here. and I've just woken up from a nap.
When you listen to Haskell, you'd swear. So he talks about the bed going down a hill, going into a bus stop and hitting old age pensioners. As you can tell, the hill isn't actually that big, so thankfully there's plenty of holes in his story, but I didn't know you had the video.
I know,
I thought you just
listen.
had the pictures.
Sounds like there's a bit of a hole in your story as well.
Root night video evidence, that's really unfair. I think you deserve a right to reply. Have you any stories now on Tommy first you can
it's
share?
It's all about research. Anyway, let's move on, I think.
Yeah. No, one of the things I did want to ask you about, Rory, though, is like when you see the matches and you watch the games, and even if you're not the biggest, follower of rugby or the Irish team in the world, but like it's so serious, and it's obviously there's so much work and preparation and intensity on the pitch. But off the pitch, like I know when we look at that video and that's a bit of crack, but is there that bit of camaraderie and fun and banter and crack between you all? Like that's...
Yeah, I think there is. There's probably not as much as whenever we both started playing, because that was after every game, you had a big dinner, you always had a few drinks with the opposition. I think the Ireland team flew home straight after the game in England on Saturday, getting ready for this week. So you get little stages in the season or in the Six Nations when you can go, right, there's no game for 2 weeks. We can actually go out and have a bit of fun and have a few drinks with the opposition. It doesn't happen as much, but there's still, I think when you go on these Lions tours, you get to meet people that you play against. So then, invariably what happens the next Six Nations, you get to catch up with these guys again and you spend a bit of time with them. And they're fantastic tours to go on because you have a perception of what somebody's like when you play against them and when you meet them very briefly after the game, and then you go on a tour and you realise that in some cases it's the complete opposite. Like James Haskell's a prime example. He's actually come full circle with me now, by the way. When he was first named, I was dreading it. Then it got on really well with him. And then when I hear all these stories, I don't think I like him again anymore. So but it's a prime example of why they're so great, these tours.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in Rory's bad books
really?
either. Oh, tell you, I could be in trouble.
I can't wait to hear.
Listen, we're talking all the time about fuel costs at the minute, Rory, and the rising costs of things. We know now you've gone into farming quite a bit now, the family farm as well. I mean, do you find it's difficult as a family? Like, is this a struggle at the minute for our farmers out there with the rising costs?
Yeah, I think that there's all those hidden costs. I think the thing with farming is that because you're so dependent on weather and there's so many market variations that maybe some businesses don't have the same extremes as farming. And from the agriculture sector, we're a little bit more used to these great price fluctuations. We're predominantly cereal farmers, so we're obviously looking at the grain prices and thinking, it's not too bad for us in terms of sales.
When you see what's happening in Ukraine, the price is going massively.
Yeah, and 5% I think of the world's wheat production comes from the Ukraine. So from an arable point of view, it leaves the prices are going to stay strong. Sort of 12 months ago, they looked like they were going to be strong. We thought they'd never go beyond that, and it went way through. But then you've got to balance that against fuel costs and labour costs, and everything's just a little bit harder to get now.
Yeah.
But look, it's a struggle, and being a farmer, everything always feels like a bit of a struggle.
It's a tough. It can be a tough, certainly really tough industry for sure. I want you to tell us a little bit about the Bright Future Prize, though.
Yeah, so since I've retired, I've done a lot of work with an insurance company, and I'm a trustee on their community trust, and they were really good with my walk across Ireland. They were a big sponsor of that, and as part of this now, it's the Bright Future Prize. So it's 13 to 19-year-olds, so teenagers that have big dreams of making a difference in their community. And really what we're encouraging people to do is get onto the ardonagtrust.org website and just enter. And the big push here is because there's a massive opportunity for somebody in that community to win 10,000 to try to promote what they're doing. Look, we'd love to get as many teenagers as we can to sort of make a big difference.
Brilliant.
Well, listen, congratulations to you for that walk as well. I know you raised over €1 million to help money for children battling cancer. Incredible stuff. And of course, in this as well, the Bright Future Prize. So it's looking for people between the ages of 13 and 19. Applications open from March the 14th, close April 29th at the Ardonagh Community Trust website. Rory Best, great to have you with us. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Rory. Thanks
best
very
of luck. Look forward to the match this weekend.
Yeah.